Yes, good old PJ.
Konnichiwa. Back with another video. And today, you guys, we are doing another any news video. Before we get to that, link in the description box down below. We first link to lead to his channel, Any News. Go ahead and go follow him, man. He makes a lot of other content. But like I say, go ahead and give that boy a follow. And also, as well, go and look at some of his other content. Look at the original videos. Yeah, but this one is Fate Ruler explained true name, identity, past abilities, and I guess more. So you're gonna learn about more of Ruler like in detail. Like I remember about Ruler. I knew she was like kind of like the middleman or middle person. I would guess you would say like within the Reds and versus Blacks for the Holy Grail 7v7. So yeah, guys, get right to it. So
14 servants, 14 masters, a ruler, a homunculus, and whatever other side characters they feel like throwing in there as well. That's Fate Apocrypha's cast. You can obviously tell that that's a lot of people, even for a 25 episode series. So keeping track of all of
yeah, it
them,
was only 25 episodes. That kind of sucked.
what's their noble
That
phantasm,
did
and
kind
all
of
that
suck.
other junk can get a little bit difficult.
Homunculus
Especially
was the
considering
main
that in the
character
span
though.
of 4 episodes,
Imagine.
they've already introduced all the servants and most of the masters.
I mean, it
Now, I
worked.
know what busy people you all are, so you obviously don't have enough time to go to the wiki to read this massive wall of text just so you can understand a character better. That's why I'm here. I've decided to start a mini-series where I go through each of the serving classes and explain the hero chosen for that class, along with their past, their noble phantasm, as well as any other abilities that they might have, and then I'll theorize a bit on what their purpose is.
See, this is why I like his videos. He goes like into depth about these
characters.
characters.
You don't have to worry
and
about
stuff.
any spoilers though. In terms of plot, I won't reveal anything that hasn't already been revealed in the latest
I
episode.
mean, I already watched the series. I'm pretty sure y'all guys watched the
if
series as
you're
well,
on
so
board
it
with
ain't
a
gonna be nothing
mini-series
spoiler
like this,
anyway.
then let me know in the comments below. Now let's get started. Alright, so obviously from the title of the video, the character that I chose to start the series with was Ruler. But before we get into who Fate Apocrypha's specific ruler is, let's first talk about the ruler class in general. It's a specialized servant class that is only summoned when the Holy Grail War requires moderation. And what I mean by that is that when the Holy Grail itself determines that someone is not following the rules of the typical Holy Grail War, because you know,
Basically, it's like
omnipotent
she
company
basically like a
that grant
referee
wishes,
in a
of
sense.
course it knows
That's
everything.
basically what she
But
is.
yeah, that, and also the church isn't doing its correct job as mediator. The Grail summons its own to ensure that
Or
the
like
Grail
she's
War
Congress
proceeds in the right
in a way, I guess you could say.
Ruler also can't be biased towards any single person or faction and is supposed to act solely to fulfill the will of the Grail. And the will of the Grail is a proper completion of the Holy Grail War. Now, in order to be summoned as
Oh, that back
there are
tech
some
too.
conditions that
Oh,
have
there
to
it
be
is.
met. You literally have to be Jesus Christ or the next closest thing. You basically have to have no desire to win the Grail, which means no desire to have a wish fulfilled. Which is why the people that are most often rulers are saints, since they are the people that have lived the most fulfilling lives without regrets. That brings us to Joan of Arc, the ruler in Fate Apocrypha. If you watched Fate Zero, you'd remember when she was referenced in a flashback by Castor. Anyway, Joan of Arc is obviously referring to Jeanne d'Arc from the 100-Year War in early 15th century France.
Right? Yeah.
Joan's character is completely based off of the historical figure who actually played a huge role in leading the French army to a victory over the English. However, as we see in the show, Jeanne died by being burned at the stake. But how did someone who was granted the title of a national hero by King Charles himself meet such a fate? Well, while defending a French city under siege, she was captured by the English and held prisoner until put on trial for heresy. Claiming to hear voices of angels, speaking out as a woman of the church, and then only obeying God rather than the church militant, resulted in the sentence of being burned alive at the age of 19.
Dang. Imagine being burnt at 19?
Which was pretty
Sheesh.
interesting because they were accurate with a couple of small details. It was reported that during her death she was holding a small wooden cross while continuously praying, which as we can see are the two notable actions taken by Jeanne during this scene. So that's who she was during her past life, but what about now? We saw at the end of episode 1 that Jeanne
She got it.
manifested her spirit
19.
inside the
That's
body of a French
wow.
woman. Her name is Laetitia. This is a unique case of a ruler being summoned into a human body rather than as a spiritual form. The exact reason for this is unknown, but it is possible when a person's body, spiritual prowess, personality, and magical potential are compatible with the person being summoned. In this case, Laetitia was a prime candidate. Also, because of Laetitia's strong faith, there were no conflicting personalities either. A ruler has complete control over Laetitia's body and mind, although some deeply rooted traits occasionally affect Ruler's actions. Now there's a few other things from the anime that need explaining before getting into Ruler's abilities and whatnot. Let me put this as easy to understand as possible. Ruler spawned in France. The Great Holy War is in Trifus. That's a fictional city in Transylvania, Romania. A simple Google Maps search shows that's about 2,500 kilometers away. All servant spirits have the ability to teleport, but since she's in a human body, she has to travel by other means, which is why we see her on the bus.
Right. Okay. Okay. Nah, that makes sense. Okay, because she's in a human body and not just. Okay.
Let's move on to her weapon.
Okay.
It may have been hard to tell considering during her fight with Karna she didn't really use it, but that's actually a flagpole. It can be easily mistaken for a lance if you look at it at first glance.
That's a flagpole?
But you can tell that it's clearly a fabric wrapped around the pole. And if you look closely enough, you can see the edge of the fleur-de-lis printed on it, which in case you didn't know was used as the symbol in the French coat of arms. I tried to find the exact flag, but the closest thing that I could find to it was this picture here. But yeah, I just find it pretty funny that I recently talked about a main character that used an umbrella to fight, and now we have one that uses a flagpole.
Wow.
And if we do ever get to see Ruler fight for real...
Umbrellas and flagpoles? What's next? Sticks? Yeah, Chris definitely gave them that word though. And Meg, yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to her abilities. I'll start with the ones that we've seen so far. While hitchhiking on the back of the truck, we see her use one of her natural abilities to command others. It's referred to as charisma, and it makes people believe the words that she says without basis, and this comes from her past experience commanding armies. Next up, we saw the command sails on her back. Obviously, as the ruler class and moderator of the Holy Grail War, being able to command the other servants would prove to be a little more difficult than other people. So she has what's called God's Resolution, and this allows her to use command spells on the servants. Rulers usually get 2 command spells per servant, so if you can point out all 28 tattoos on her back, then by all means go ahead. The next skill she has is called...
So that's what that was in her back.
During her fight with Karna because
I always wondered what that
his
was.
true name and class without any information. Information on servants such as identities, skills, and noble phantasm are automatically revealed when confronting another servant. So basically she gets a cheat sheet on her opponent, only if she makes physical contact with them. Any opponent that's in hiding will have their information remain hidden until they are found. And then this final skill hasn't really been revealed yet.
So basically you got scanned as soon as she see you.
It's just increased resistance to magic-based attacks. For example, say one of the sabers tried to use Excalibur on Ruler. The damage would be done to everything except her. She does not negate the attack, but instead just remains undamaged by them. And when I say that one of the sabers is trying to use Excalibur, you know I mean their noble phantasm. Anyway, I'm sure there's more abilities that I'm missing, and she probably has godlike combat skills, but those are pretty much the main ones. As for my theories on Ruler's future in the show, well, I haven't read the novel, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but if I had to guess, I'd say that since the red faction wants her dead, and the black faction wants the homunculus, she's going to have to fight Karna again, as well as another servant of black. Other than that, there's not much else I can say, but there's definitely more to this show than what's being let on. It's more than just a battle royale, which I'm totally okay with, by the way. But anyway, that's all I've got for you guys on Ruler today. I hope that clears some stuff up for you.
Wow.
For my next episode, I'm thinking of doing the Saber class, but if you have something else in mind, then let me know in the comments below.
The Saber class, interesting. I wonder what's up next. I got this from like his playlist. So like I said, guys, any news, go ahead and go and follow the first link straight down below. It's going to lead to his channel. Yeah, man, this guy does some great work, man, for real. Ruler, explain. I was always wondering why she had those markings on her back, like, cause I remember that episode, like, it was dark. She was like taking off her armor and stuff like that, chest plate, whatever case may be, and then all of a sudden it showed this thing in the back, and I always wondered what that was. And now getting an explanation from that, and now basically it's like that. You basically have control of the servants with that, which is crazy, but that makes sense because, like I said, Ruler's like the Congress, she like the middleman, and she's like, you know what I'm saying, she's that person that's literally supposed to like legislate everything for the great holy world, so everything go how the girl wants everything to go. Basically, that's why she's there. Yeah, I mean that makes sense why you'd be able to control servants and everything like that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I like this episode of Ruler. Give me a little bit of a refreshing on the character. So like I said, guys, like, share, subscribe on the video, man. Go ahead and go follow the Facebook page, and your boys out. Peace.